I was a bodybuilder for almost 5 years before I got cast in that role. So I was going to Eastern Washington, and I was training 3 days on, 1 day off, and I had done that for 3 years. And I was on a very intense. I was I have to laugh because I think back, I was eating 5 platefuls of food at every meal because I was just trying to get as many calories in as I possibly could, because all I was thinking about is gaining weight. So then fast forward, the role, I just happened to be, I was an athletic trainer for the Eastern Washington University. And so I was the athletic trainer for the wrestling team at this specific time. And one of the wrestlers was in the movie. His name is Rick Thiefalt. He had already been cast. He was an extra. He was a wrestler. He was in some of the scenes in the classroom as well. Had been wrestling at Eastern Washington, but took that semester off because they were paying him, and he was like, I'm getting paid to wrestle. And so he was just really into it. So he came in, and we're sitting there watching wrestling practice, and he starts talking about this movie and said, they're still looking for somebody. They're looking for somebody that's 6 foot tall, blonde hair, blue eyes, muscular build that can wrestle. He goes, hey, that's you. He says, you got to go check this out. And I just was not into it, but he eventually wore me down, and I went in. And so it took 5 auditions.
Wow.
And to eventually, and I could go through it, but when I finally got the role, I was at 215 pounds, and they were shooting in 2.5 weeks.
Wow.
And so I had to drop 25 pounds in 2.5 weeks. So I went from that total mentality of like just gorging myself at every meal to I had 2 meals a day. I would have a breakfast with some egg whites, and then I would have lunch, which was a salad with some tuna and a squeeze of lemon. And then I would get on an exercise cycle and ride for an hour at about 4:30 in the afternoon. And I burnt down. I just sucked myself down so fast that I was experiencing all the symptoms that Matthew was experiencing in the movie, his character. So I got lightheaded, and I was angry. I was up, I was cranky. I actually, during the filming, got elbowed, and my nose would not stop bleeding. So we had to have it, chemically cauterized while on the set. So everything that he went through, his character anyway, was what I was actually going through just to rip down. And when I got down to 189 pounds, I was at 4% body fat. And because I did a submersion in our school in the human performance lab. So I did one of those water, submersion tests. I was at 4% body fat, and they now don't allow you to go below 7% body fat when you're wrestling now. So it's a health thing. You need to have healthy fats around your organ systems to maintain them. So anyway, I was ripped down. So how do you want to put yourself through that? You certainly can. Build for 5 years and then rip down for 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, because 4% body fat is insane. And you were supposed to be the 170 pounder, right? 171 pounds.
168.
68.
Yeah, 168 pounder.
Yeah, because Loudon had cut down.
Yeah, and I actually ended up weighing 189 pounds. And I think that Matthew was pretty close to that same weight. And he was doing just the opposite. There was a nutritionist that was on set. He was training and working out to build himself up. He was on all this nutrition. And so he was building himself up, and I was ripping myself down to be closer to his same weight.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, the parallels, because the cutting weight, the being dehydrated, the bloody nose. Remember, Loudon had the bloody nose as well too. They literally took everything that was happening to you and put it with Loudon Swain.
Well, that's what happens when you cut so hard that your body is actually feeding. Now, this is what I remember most, is that my deltoids were starting to ache. The protein was actually breaking down, catabolizing, so that I would have energy to do what I needed to do during the day. That's how intense it got, because it was just such a hard thing. And this is exactly what I don't want wrestlers to do at a high school and college level, because when you do that, maybe I looked good on film. I was ripped, I was down, but I didn't have strength and endurance. And man, this is exactly what you need if you're going into a match. You better have some strength and endurance. You better have some kind of reserve, and you better be like topped off with your hydration, your sleep, your nutrition. All that needs to be taken care of. This is what wrestlers need to take care of outside of training, technical issues with, and being trained by their coach. So this is their job. This is what they need to handle.